Hey, there it is, guys. Mom's homemade pot roast. And I did it up the way she would do it for us every Sunday. Some nice mashed potatoes, brown gravy, and a beautiful vegetable. Sometimes she'd even do a cheese sauce. So I did that, a nice cheese sauce over the broccoli. Hey guys, welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. On this episode, I'm going to be fixing you something extra special. This is comfort food for me, pot roast. If you've ever had pot roast but you don't know how to cook it, this is the right show for you. My mom would cook this frequently, okay? So this is dedicated to her, to Betty Trotter. Mom, this is your pot roast with a little bit of a tweak. I'm going to add some wine into it at the beginning. So come over this way, let's look at these beautiful ingredients, and let's get busy cooking up Mom's pot roast. First thing, when it comes to a pot roast, it's all about the cut of beef. So what I have back here is a choice cut of a bottom round roast, and this is about a 4-pound cut of this. Okay, so they've taken this muscle and then chopped it up into pieces, and this was one of those center pieces out of it. Now, fabulous cut of meat for this. There is a big slab of fat that's sitting on the bottom right now, but I'm going to turn it over so that fat is the fat side up. And as it cooks, it's going to allow that fat to render down through the meat and flavor it and make it so wonderful and special. In addition to the juices that come off of this in the pot, we're going to be adding in, I've got 1 cup of some wine here. Just whatever wine you enjoy, whatever wine you like to use, you put it right in there and go at it, okay? Now, the other neat thing, Mom always did a little black pepper and salt on it, and she put Worcestershire sauce on it. That was an absolute must. And then she would just put water in the bottom of the pot, and that would help to keep the roast hydrated. And I learned later in my years why Mom did this. Why did Betty Trotter always do the pot roast on Sundays instead of another day? It was really easy. Pot roast made Sunday dinner much, much easier. The reason is, this is something that just sort of cooks on its own, so you start it early. She would start this, we would go to church, come home, this was finishing off. All she had to do was cook up a couple of vegetables, make the gravy, and bam, there was dinner. So I learned in life that sometimes what looks like a more elegant or fancy item can actually save you some time and trouble making it. With that fabulous roast, we're going to be making, as I mentioned before, some home-styled mashed potatoes. And I'm going to teach you how to take these and turn them into the most fabulous mash that you've ever seen in your life. With this, we're also going to have some steamed broccoli. On the steamed broccoli, so it's not just plain and ordinary, I'm doing a cheddar cheese sauce. So I'm going to show you how to take some wonderful cheddar cheese, your favorite cheddar, and turn it into a magnificent sauce that is smooth and creamy and goes perfect on veggies. Oh, yummy. It's delicious. So I'll tell you what, we have to start with the meat first. Let's start with that. We're going to get it in our pot, get it in the oven, and get it cooked up. We have our pot handy right here. Now, it is a pot roast, right? So you use a pot. It's just that simple. Before I do anything, I'm going to put a little oil down in my pot. Over here on the board. If that looks like a lot, you're right. But remember, what do we have here? We have a really, really big chunk of meat. Now let's go on with a bit of that pepper. Yes. Get him right here in the pot. And as I mentioned, we're putting that fat side up. We're doing that on purpose. The fat is not going to come up through the meat, okay, if it's on the bottom of the pan. The fat is going to do what gravity does. It's going to pull it down. But it won't happen until it slowly heats up and melts. And that's called rendering. And when that fat renders and then it slowly flows through the fibers of the meat, it pulls with it flavor. And it's also acidic, so it tenderizes that meat. It's a wonderful thing. Worcestershire sauce. Doesn't take a whole lot of this, guys. All right? You're going to need about 2 tablespoons total. You can go up to 3 if you want. This is what Mom never did right here. She never put wine down in there. And as I got older and I started cooking with different things such as wine and other goodies, I found out how wonderful it tastes. In addition to that wine, I want to add some water. Yeah, looky there. I have maybe 3/4 of an inch of liquid in the bottom of the pan with this roast. And as you notice, the roast fits fully into the pan. If you don't have a pan that it fits fully into, top this with some foil, okay? And that way it seals it nice and tight. Otherwise, your lid should do the job. Now all we have to do is get this down in the oven, 350 degrees, well actually 325 to 350, and give it a couple hours. There's no rush on this. This is time to go and do other things, and then we come back and take care of the veggies and the sauces and all of that. And it makes cooking so much easier, because all we're doing is cooking up a couple of veggies, 2 sauces, and bam, food's on the table. All right guys, let's get this down in that oven. Now guys, I'm going ahead and cleaning up my potatoes here. I'm going to be doing a peel on mash, so I want to get that peel nice and clean. And you see the difference between a dirty tater and a clean tater. Well, this is what we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of them. Now, if you don't like peel in your mash, that's cool, that's fine. Just use your vegetable peeler and take all that off, okay? I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting up the rest of these. Okay guys, let's go ahead and process our broccoli. Now I just want to simply cut this down into some smaller pieces. Basically, I'm going to end up making bite-sized pieces. We'll take the bigger ones and cut them down too. But for now, I just need to work it down to some pieces that are a little more workable. Notice how I'm doing this, just cutting through. Now these stem sections, I'm saving those. We're going to use them. See, like those, that. They are unique in their shape. They're healthy, they're tender, and they work just fine. The only part I'll throw away is the very bottom, where it was originally cut. I don't like to save that, or to use that part. I'll save everything else, though. Let's go ahead and make some of these others a little bit smaller. Just that simple, guys. Don't make this any harder than it really has to be, okay? But you don't want huge honking pieces that people are going to have to deal with. So cut them down into some bite-sized pieces that they'll be a little bit more practical. This can be done earlier, but frankly I like to do the broccoli cutting usually no more than 30 minutes away from when I'm going to steam it. That way it doesn't have time to wilt or to change in its texture at all. Well, there we have it. Let's move right on. I'm going to go ahead and put these into a steamer pot. Now you'll need a little basket in the bottom. You don't have to have one of these, but it sure makes it work better. All this right in here. I'll put about a cup and a half of water in there after, when it's time to cook it. A little salt on top, and that broccoli will cook up real nice. Okay guys, this has now been in the oven for about 3.5 hours, and it will shred easily, okay? The whole thing has become very soft and tender. Let me try this. Oh yeah, fabulous. Now listen, this is what you're looking for, that very soft texture. Comes apart easily. That's what we want. The juices are heavenly. That just blew my mind, okay? So I'm just going to leave this thing covered, put it in the oven, and leave it that way. Now over here, I have those potatoes. There's a high flame underneath this. These have been soaking this entire time while this was cooking, the roast was cooking. And so these are well de-starched. We just got to boil them up and turn it into the most fabulous mash. Now, if you're wondering how much butter and sour cream and stuff like that to use to it, well, look at it this way. How much butter would you use on your baked potato? You have 4 potatoes there. So see it kind of from that angle, okay? Dress it up much the same. I have in this back pot over here our broccoli. It has been cut up. It's been put back there and it's ready to be steamed. Let's take a moment to make a very simple cheese sauce. Now, what we have to do to make a cheese sauce is simple. Melting cheese isn't a problem, but getting it into kind of a sauce form where it's really cool and easy to use, that's a whole different thing. Some people just say, oh, stick with the processed cheese. That way there's no effort in it. But you know what? There's also just only that processed cheese flavor in it. There's other cheeses that I like so much more. And I'll tell you what, like this cheddar, this is an extra sharp cheddar. Yummy. Right now I'm melting this butter. A little bit of peanut oil in here too. As soon as this butter is melted, I'm going to put in some flour. Now, what I put in here was about 3 tablespoons of butter, 1.5 tablespoons of peanut oil, and I've got here maybe, somewhere between 1/8 of a cup and 1/4 cup of flour. A little over a cup of milk. I've got about 1.5 cups of milk here. And what I want to do is just make a simple white sauce. Now, I've got the fat melted. Here's the flour. Put it in and just whisk it in. A roux that is made as a foam seems to combine, in my view, a little bit better with milk and produces a much better quality sauce with far less difficult result or methods involved. So this is an easy method. So as you see, it's coming up to a nice bubble there. And you watch this. This is going to start foaming up. I have it on a medium-high heat. I'm going to reduce that just to a medium heat and just let it sit there and do this for a couple of minutes. Watch me knock this down. You see how that's starting to take on a light tan color? We don't want it to get too dark. The color that I am looking for from my roux is similar to the color of a peanut. Let's take another look at the color of that. There we go. You see that change? It's ready. Milk in. Stir it well. And you only need about half the milk in there. Give it a moment over the heat to bring that milk up to a nice temperature, and this is going to turn into a beautiful, silky, smooth white sauce. Putting in the cheese now. I started with a total, except for a little bit of nipping at it, a total of 8 ounces. And put a little bit of salt in that. That's about 1/4 teaspoon that I just put in. There it is. It's fully melted. It's finished. All I need to do is cover this and leave it alone. The potatoes are just about ready, I believe. I need to test them. And again, we're just going to pull some out. I'm going to put a fork into it. And see how that potato's breaking apart easily? That means it's ready, okay? So all I need to do now is to drain this, and I'm going to do so by simply running it through my food mill. Now let me show you a neat device that's going to make the very best mashed potatoes in the world for you. The food mill is a very simple item. It's like a large funnel that has plates, which are strainer plates, and a paddle that pushes food through the plates. That's all there is to it. Now the beautiful thing about this is, when it comes to making perfect mashed potatoes, the real trick of it is the less you work the potatoes, the smoother, fluffier, and lighter and more lovely and delicious that the potato comes out the less you work it. The more you work it, the more stiff and doughy it becomes, because it starts developing the strings of starches, and it just binds together like glue. So what you want is to be able to break it down quickly, mix in the extra ingredients, and then just leave it alone. That way the amount of processing is as minimal as possible. What we're going to do on this one, because this is a country style, is I'm going to use the large grate. There's a small, medium, and large. We're using the large one. When you're setting up a food mill, the paddle has two sides, the open side, the closed side. So when you're setting up your food mill, you want the closed side away from you. Put the peg into the hole in the center. Pretty much all food mills work the same way, regardless of brand. And then press down on this side and slide it over into the retainer. Done. I'm ready to throw my potatoes in this. And the neat thing is I don't need a colander. This is my colander. I'm just going to throw the potatoes hot right in here, allow the water to drain through, put this right back up on top of the pot, and then push the potatoes straight back down into the pot it cooked in. And then we're going to mix in the butter and cream, sour cream, salt, those little goodies. Yes. I've just poured the potatoes through the food mill, let it drain off into the sink, and now I have an empty pot and a food mill full of potatoes. As you can see from this, even with some of the skins packing up that plate, it is still pushing through quickly. At this point, at the bottom here, I need to remove this, and I have this huge pan full of a beautiful country style mash. We need to put in our other ingredients. How about some butter? That was about 5 tablespoons that I put in just then. Yeah, I know it's too much. I didn't say this was healthy eating today. It's Texas cooking today, and it is not about making things healthy. It's about making beautiful, delicious food. And sometimes, you know, we sacrifice healthy for flavor. We don't do it every day. All things in moderation. That was that cream. Let's put in some sour cream. Oh, look at that. If you would like, potatoes love salt, but MSG is their biggest friend. Now, if you don't like MSG, don't put it in. I'm going to add a little to mine, about, a quarter to a half a teaspoon. Yeah, I'm making a little mess. Guess what? Being in the kitchen involves a little mess. There we go. A simple home-style mash. Do not over-process this. If you go any further with it, it's going to get stiff and doughy on you. So let's leave it light and fluffy, and it's magnificent in this state. Our mashed potatoes are now finished up. They're resting back here. Our sauce is resting. The broccoli now has a flame underneath it. It is coming up in temperature. Once this comes up to a boil, I'm going to be putting a thickener in it. The thickener I have chosen for this is 1/2 cup of flour. I'm going to forewarn you about something when it comes to using flour as a thickener. Number one, if I take this flour and pour it right into this hot liquid, it's going to clump up. You're going to have a whole bunch of floury, nasty, disgusting lumps everywhere, and you're not going to have a good gravy. It's going to be kind of disgusting, frankly. If I take hot water or some of this liquid and mix it with this flour and shake it the way I'm going to do with cold water, the shaker's going to explode. Now, I don't mean that the metal is going to fly everywhere and fragment. What I mean is that the flour and hot water or hot liquid will expand suddenly. It will pop the top off of it, and you will have a beautiful spray of hot flour water going everywhere. Something that you don't want to experience, I guarantee you. So never, never, never use hot water in flour when you're going to use it as a thickener. Always use cold water. Now that I have this boil going on here, let's put some water into our shaker. This is cold water, remember. Put about a cup or so in there. Put a lid on it and shake it. Now you be careful as you're shaking this. If you are using hot water again, it will explode at this point. So we'll pour the excess in there. Now you notice how that foamed up. Again, that's that flour reacting with heat. It does that. Stir this in. We're going to bring this back to a boil. And when we do, that's going to thicken. And I have a little bit more in my shaker here. So if it's not quite thick enough, I can add a little bit more of the flour mixture and thicken it some more. We'll wait for that to come to a boil and we're going to know. It's already thickening a little bit. We have extra here. Let's pour some of that in. Give it a bit of a stir. And again, allow it to come to a boil and thicken. Your gravy is going to come out just fine this way, guys. So give this a try. You're going to love the way it is. There we go. Go ahead and get the rest of that mixed in, and that's going to be wonderful. Just a little bit left from that cap. Now if you'll notice that liquid, the way it's bubbling, it's already coming out a bit thicker. This is going to make a beautiful brown gravy. And if you want, you can work some of that fond off of the sides of the pot also. That will just add extra flavor. That's that brown edges that you see on the pot there. Now check your consistency. How well does it coat that spoon? Very well. See that? Now we have some beautiful, real brown gravy right there. This will thicken a little bit more. Let's taste. Oh man. Oh God, that's delicious. Go ahead and allow that gravy to cook for a few minutes. You don't want to just stop when it gets thick. You need to let it cook, because if you don't, the flavor of the flour is going to be present. And if we cook it down, we're going to lose that flour flavor. If you would like, you can add a little bit of extra Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to add some because it was a bit flat, and I want the extra acid in there. It brings that acid level up on the gravy, makes it really sharp and wonderful tasting. And once you've tried it that way, I think for most people there's just no going back. This makes a fabulous gravy this way. Our broccoli has been steaming up. Oh yeah. Now it's getting tender, okay? Fork tender, turn off that burner, cock the lid slightly to let steam escape. It is now out of the oven. I had this side up to give it a little bit of browning while it was in there. It does a beautiful job. I simply want to steady this, and this is going to disintegrate easily. But I'm going to make some nice little cuts here. This thing is literally falling apart. And that's perfect. That's what I'm wanting. Wonderful. Nothing like a little of Mom's pot roast. I want some of that beautiful mash back here. Let's go ahead and place a little of that broccoli up on there. Beautiful. And beautiful. Lovely orange cheddar sauce that we made. Oh yes, right on there. That right there is how we do a pot roast meal in Texas. Okay guys, that's it. Mom's pot roast. So now you see it, it's beautiful. And I tell you what, this is the kind of stuff that spoiled me. This is the kind of goodie that spoiled me when I was younger. Oh my God. Now you know these potatoes, they're just so light. They're so fluffy. They're filled with flavor. It's magnificent. And a cheesy broccoli that even the fustiest kids should enjoy eating. If they don't like that, send them back and get a refund. Man, that is delicious. Guys, thank you very much for watching this. Thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today. And to my subscribers, guys, a special thank you to you. And folks, if you would, please share my videos. I need to grow my audience, and that's the best way to do it, I see. So help me out here. Now, thank you very much for watching. To my subscribers, thanks so very, very much for you. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? You're gonna get a lot of good recipes and the best techniques right here. You folks have a good day. Hey guys, thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today. Do appreciate it. If you would, please subscribe. If you like this, just click like down there, and if you would, I would really appreciate it if you add me to your favorites. Thank you.